Do you struggle planning? As a dyslexic, it's so common for us to struggle getting out what's in our head down on paper to basically actionable items that we can do to make us go forward. And this is a quick little podcast, give a little message to give you an overview about what I do in my planning. So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be, or in other words, conquer their dyslexia? That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexica podcast. Hi guys, I hope we're doing alright, and today I want to talk to everyone, about something that I've been doing for years and years and years. I think I've been taking for granted it, and I learned it a while ago. And I really feel it'll be really valuable if I share this information about what I do with planning. And I know as dyslexics, planning and organisation is very, very, very hard. And you mean, like, for example, keeping things tidy is a massive effort. My room's nearly all the time messy. My desk at home nearly all the time messy. And every time I go and work, after people get to know me for a little bit, they know I'm messy as well. They know how messy I am, because I really try my absolute hardest not to do it, but then sometimes I do. Sometimes I leave things messy. Sometimes I don't finish certain things, don't put things away properly. And even today, it was really funny. I remember, I'm getting ready to go to work, and I got ready, I was driving to work, and I remember distinctly picking up my fob for my work. I picked it up, and I put it on my neck, and I started driving. As I got to work, I was there, and I was like, okay, let's go in. Where's my fob? I forgot my fob, and I texted my mum. I was like, Mum, is my fob still at home? And she said, yes, it's hanging up. I'm like, oh, for God's sake. And I was so annoyed, because I could clearly visualize the fob on my neck. I could clearly see it. And put it on, but I was like, it's just my mind, it's just my dyslexic mind, because I had this situation happen with so many other things, situations where I remembered putting this thing in this specific location, and then it just not being there. And I just call this a magic trick. I call when I sort of put things in a certain place, and they're not there anymore, I call, a magic trick, I made it disappear. I thought, I made my fob disappear. And that's like how I make myself laugh instead of being angry or go crazy or whatever. But then I noticed my fob was just like around the other way. So basically it was just like a hidden tie underneath my t-shirt. So anyway, that was a funny story. But yeah, with planning, I feel, because I remember when I was young, just understanding loads of stuff and basically like listening to Tony Robbins the whole time. And there was a thing about planning, about how to plan. And he had this thing called RPM planning method, and there's a lot of free videos out there on YouTube about him talking about it, and I got obsessed with RP planning method. Now I watched so many videos of it, and you know what I mean, and I dove right into it. And basically what is like, he describes it in a certain way, but this is how I look at planning. And basically what I do every single morning, I review my plan, look at it, okay, here's what I got to do for the day. And the evening I review how the day went, what could do better, and then I plan the next day. And I basically have a week plan. At the end of a couple months, I have a month plan and a yearly plan, and I can review them at certain points. But the main thing, I do daily reviews, and I want to speak to you about how I do it. And basically it takes me now an hour on 2 hours a week to do all my planning, and I do planning multiple times a day in a big session at the week to plan what I'm doing. Because if I don't do my actions, and if I don't plan, I have no idea how the day's going to go. No idea how the days are going to go. But if I plan in a certain way, I feel so free. I feel so, I'm ready to do things. I feel so clear and distinct about my actions. Because if I know I got to do 3 actions, and I just know I got to do them, I don't have an order in what order I should do them. I don't have a time frame of I got to do them in this half an hour or whatever. Then I won't do them. I'll be honest, I won't do them. I would just like watch social media or sit down for ages and not do it. And I know this really clear of myself, and I remember getting really obsessed with planning, learning this planning method, and spending about an hour on it a day. At least an hour on planning a day. And then I got obsessed on it, and I was just trying to make everything single perfectly, and then that was too much, because I was trying to plan every single moment, and it was too much. But I want to dive into right now because this is going to be a long one. I'll probably go deep in this on another podcast. But basically, if you want to plan, there's a couple things you have to do. And planning is just about getting what your ideas in your head down into basically a plan that you can structure and move it forward in your life. So I look at it like this. So if I wanted, like, for example, we have these categories in our life, don't we? We have work, we have a work, job, family, career, and ourself. And we have these categories. And basically, what I do at the end of every single week, I look at my major categories that I like. For example, at the moment, social media is a big one. They're doing these podcasts and these lives. Social media is, with my book, and I have certain funnels, which are basically like websites. I have stuff with websites. I have stuff with basically finish the book challenge. I'm doing certain things or learning certain things. And like, okay, I have these big chunks. These are my outcomes. And I got loads of ideas of them. And basically, okay, these are my chunks. And I write down all the ideas I can do for each individual chunk. And each individual chunk, I have a clear, specific outcome. For example, with book, that book has fun many people. With my social media, you mean clear, specific outcomes, like big general outcomes. And I see all the action items I can do. And I just brainstorm as many as I can. And oftentimes I brainstorm them ages ago and I have a list. And if I think of new things, I add them onto the list. And look at this big list about all the things I could do for social media, all the things I could do for my book, all the things I could do for work, all the things I could do for home. And more important, like one of the big lists that I always do is all the things I could do for myself. But how I can improve myself. About what the rituals, what the habits that I can create for myself, which is a really big thing. So I create a big list of all that down. And then, for example, it can either be like a big brainstorming session of all the things on one big piece of paper without putting them in any categories or putting them inside the categories. However you want. I think at the start, if you've got a big project you want to do, just write down all the things you could possibly do for that big project, and then after it, break it down into separate parts. Break into separate things like work with emails, work with this project or whatever. Break it down into separate parts and separate chunks. And then after you break into separate parts and separate chunks, think, okay, out of these actions, what actions will get me the most result in a little amount of time that are easy that I can do now? And you sort of label it. It's called the 20-80% ritual. Basically states that 20% of our actions will give us 80% of our result, and 80% of our action will give us 20% of our result. It's, I think it's proven. And we just look at, okay, what are the most important things? Then we must them, and you put them there. And so basically, how it looks like, what I look at every day. So one column has outcomes on it. So there's loads of outcomes I can do. Like, for example, outcome with myself. For me to, love what I'm doing and be consistent with what I'm doing and working really hard and feel like I'm, becoming a better person and growing. Okay, that's the outcome. And then I do the outcome. And then what's really important and what people don't do when they plan, I think it's emotionally it's a must, I think, to do the why. Why is that important to do it now? Well, it's important to me because, listen, I don't have a lot of time left. Listen, this day I won't get this day ever again. And this is my life. I won't get life ever again. Then, okay, here are my action items. And here's my action item. So I do this for the week, for like all the outcomes. I wouldn't do any more than 4 major outcomes because otherwise it gets too complex. And it gets too complex. So I do all that, and the action types, sometimes I can do like 6, 7, 9, 10 actions in each category, which can get quite a lot. But then, okay, I've done my actions for the week, and then I can break it down into days. Okay, so here's my whole week, but so days I have my rituals. Okay, these are things that I'm supposed to do each individual day. But then, okay, I have my rituals, I put them in, and for example, I schedule them on my phone. The rituals, things I do every day at a specific time, I do those. And then, okay, these are my rituals. And then I look at, okay, my actions. And what day would be the best time to do these actions? Or, like, what's my kind of, like, deadlines? Okay, I must, if I want to do a lot of stuff in my podcast, a lot of stuff in my book, a lot of stuff, with these new ideas I got, set a specific time or specific day to that. For example, with my, with my Finish the Book Challenge, I set a date by, okay, I'm going to market this, I'm going to tell people about this date, I'm going to plan this date, I'm going to do this date. And I know exactly what I want to do and exactly when I could do it, and the actual actions and rituals leading up to that. And that really, really helps me. And with me, I'm doing, basically still improving my English and reading and, doing my 20 words on here, going improving. And I'm still doing that each day, but I'm finding where I can do it the best. And so now it's clear. Now I know exactly what I'm going to do when I'm going to go home. I've got the rituals I want to do. So I'll literally go home. I will basically edit this podcast. No, first thing I'll go home. Yeah, I'll go home, edit this podcast, plan to finish the book challenge, because Craig Collins coming on Go Live. It's going to be amazing, and hopefully I'll do a bit of market research on other dyslexic people. And I've got some really exciting ideas I want to do with that. And then at 7 p.m. I'll be going live with Craig to tell all my people about it, and I think that'll go on for a while. Then a dinner at 8, and from 8 to 9:30 I'll be reading Traffic Secrets book from Russell Brunson, about just learning about traffic, and I'll be writing down 9:30 bed. I know that. I wrote it down, I planned it. And this planning, I used to be obsessed with it, now I'm not. Now it's easy, now it's second nature. Because I know what I'm doing, I know my time frames, and I'm doing this. And I can tell you, without doing my weekly creation, I call it creation, without doing my daily creation at the end of the day. And basically I write it down, my little book about the times and about the things. And I rewrite it. For example, I go home, I look at what I wrote, and I'll write it again. It makes it more clear, more precise, and more human focused. And it's really easy now to do it. But I want to go back and just repeat basically what I said, so it's really clear. So when you want to plan something, or when you want to organise your life, the first thing you got to do is get everything out of your head onto a piece of paper and have a place that's called capture. Tony Robbins calls it capture. I call it capture as well. But basically, when you're going through for your daily life and you have an idea, or you have something you have to do, a place where no matter what you're doing, it can capture this item into a place that you can keep it. Okay, and it could be a note on your phone, it could be a little book or whatever. I have a capture place on my phone where I write this thing that I have to do on my phone, or this idea that I have on my phone. And then later that day, on my evening creation, I either do the action that day, or I put that action into the grand scheme of things, into the big into my big weekly plan. I don't know exactly when I'll do it. I don't want it to be there, so it's outside my head. So first thing, you have to have a place that you can capture. Second thing, you have to create categories. So all the things you want to do, create categories. Okay, this is category for my health. This is category for my personal growth. But create categories for it, and then with your categories, create a specific outcome for each category. Now, I know this sounds a lot, but it really isn't. A couple words like I want to be the best this, or make it exciting, and then you create each category that's got a list of actions under it, and then say a couple words of why it's important to you, so it juices you up. Not say I want to improve it because it's important and other people would like me. Make it juicy, make it exciting, be outrageous. That's what I do. And do this and reviewing daily. Each day review only takes a few minutes. To review. But most important thing is to have a habit of planning. Have a habit of scheduling. That's the first thing, because I know in dyslexic everything's chaotic, and I know this is important, I know that's important. But having a habit, having a ritual of planning, saying, okay, this day, at this time, I will plan. And you stick to it, and you get better and better and better at it. I think it's really important to do this, because this is how I've been able to be productive, basically, and fill in all my free time without just letting it fly by. I think time's so important, that's why planning is so important. Guys, I've got to go, and I hope you enjoyed this.